Hi guys. This is walking you guys through your second essay assignment. And in this week, you guys read a number of texts that were centered around the idea of modernism and kind of the depths of World War One and World War Two, and how that affected what it means to be American on an international stage. Um, it really affected our politics, our philosophies, our economics. So what I want you guys to do is choose two authors that you guys read in the unit, and I want you to compare and contrast them in terms of literary analysis. So if you have an author like Frost who had poems, I say that you're allowed to choose more than one poem, but I honestly wouldn't do it. I would just do one poem and one work. From another author, one poem and another poem from another author. It's a lot to cover in just a page and a half to cover more than two poems. But you're going to look at either how two authors that seem to naturally fit together or two authors that maybe don't naturally fit together. And you're going to look at how the poems or the works are structured similarly and differently in terms of literary elements. Secondarily, look at historical context and biography, just like we have in the first essay. Please ignore this portion. You need to have one research resource in your work. It has to be cited correctly and included in your bibliography, along with the two works that you choose to compare. Your essay needs to be 1.5 to 2 pages in length and is due on Sunday, June 16th, of course, at midnight. Remember that everything is checked through SafeAssign and it has to be the correct page length. The authors you can choose from and the works that we read in this unit are from Frost, Hemingway, Fitzgerald, Claude McKay, or Langston Hughes. The choice of topic, what you talk about, and the works that you choose is your choice, so choose carefully. Discuss the works in depth and look at how the literary elements kind of compare. So look at things like imagery, characterization, metaphors, simile, foreshadowing, anything you like, but have a central theme or discussion or focus that you want to talk about. So if you're going to compare two authors, make sure there's a reason that you're comparing them. So if you want to compare, say, Hemingway and Langston Hughes, compare them across the idea of outsider status, or compare them across the idea of short story structure. And different structures. Look, if you want to do, say, Robert Frost and Claude McKay, you could choose two poems, and you could look at how the structures of the poems are different. You could look at the imagery as a central part of the theme. You could look at a number of different things. So think about how you're comparing them and why you're comparing them exactly. And then secondarily, bring in that biography and the historical context. So think about somebody like a Robert Frost and how his historical context is different than Claude McKay, or how they're similar. Same thing with, say, a Fitzgerald and a Langston Hughes. How were they both living as outsiders in the society they were in? So think about how those authors reflected the changing social, political, or economic situation that was happening in America at the time. So what did it mean to be American, and how was that changing? Some questions you can think about: how does the works connect in terms of themes or major literary elements? How are the structures similar or different, and why does that change meaning for us? If something like Claude McKay, if the themes in his poems were given to us in a narrative format, that would be very different. You can also think about the elements that crisscross the works. So how are those differences kind of representing different social, political, economic issues at the time? You're going to be examined on making sure you have a good development argument with a thesis statement, close analysis of the works with their major concepts, good evidence to support your claims from the primary and secondary sources, proper page length, MLA formatting, and proper number of outside source material with citations, a fully developed essay structure with significant intro and thesis, clear main ideas with evidence, and a conclusion, and then careful organization of all your ideas. So here's the key. When you're doing a comparative essay, you don't want to do one paragraph for one author and then one paragraph for another author. Instead, what you want to do is have 2 or 3 main ideas, and you compare them both in each paragraph. So for example, if I was going to do something like the idea of outsider status for Langston Hughes, and F. Scott Fitzgerald. My first main idea might be centered on the theme in both of their works, and I would compare Fitzgerald's theme of isolation and Langston Hughes' theme of isolation as an African American male. Um, Secondarily, I might look at something like the economic environment around both of these men and their poetry in their works. So for Fitzgerald, I might look at the Babylon Revisited. I might look at what the economic situation influenced was in the main character. So it was post Crash of '29 and Great Depression, and how that influences the messaging and the work. And then for Langston Hughes, I might look at kind of the economic situation in Harlem, and that's what he's talking about in his poetry when he's talking about, the women of the night and these different things. And then thirdly, I might talk about another point and compare them across that point. So make sure that you're not doing one paragraph each for an author. Make sure that you are connecting them across thematic ideas. So this is, again, fairly broad. The hope is that you will write about what's interesting to you. And if you have any questions at all, let me know.